I was muted myself, so probably nobody heard me. I was saying that I had some cough, so hopefully I can try to read. If I have a problem, then we can share. I read the prayer, but maybe I was muted. So I'll start from here, the purpose of Karma Yoga. The purpose of Karma Yoga. In Karma Yoga, you give up Kamya Karma and perform Nitya Naimittika karmas as an offering to the Lord, as well as for purifying the mind. Right? I think this is what she was reading yesterday, right? Mm. The purpose of Karma Yoga. In Karma Yoga, you give up Kamya karma and perform Nitya Naimittika karmas as an offering to the Lord, as well as for purifying the mind. According to the definition of Kamya karma stated above, karma is always involved. This karma is given up is in Karma Yoga. Shankara says here that by performing these various Vaidika rituals for the sake of Antakarna Shuddhi, you become Karma Yogi. Sorry. Shankara says here that by performing these various Vaidika rituals for the sake of Antakarna Shuddhi, you become a Karma Yogi. Otherwise, you are only a Karmi. When you perform karma for a particular end alone, you will gain only that end. You will not gain the mind necessary for gaining the knowledge, that is moksha. Because you have no vivasayatmika buddhi, no vivasayatmika buddhi, because you have no vivasayatmika buddhi. If, however, you have vivasayatmika buddhi, all your karmas are directed towards one thing, moksha. But for moksha, you require the mind, antakarana, that is prepared. Moksha is not gained through karma. Karma is only for preparing the mind. Thus, preparing the mind through karma becomes yoga for you. In the Gita, the word karma is usually used with reference to Vaidika karma. However, when Arjuna was asked to do karma, it was not a ritual to be performed. He was to fight. It was his duty. Shankara confirms this also. Fighting is the to be done, obligatory karma of a Kshatriya. Thus, Karma Yoga covers all activities, and if karma is taken to mean any action performed, which is the actual meaning of the word, then we have to look at karma from the standpoint of a person's entire life. The actions then referred to will be those activities that one performs in the attempt to fulfill all one's ragadveshas. I'll repeat this line again. The actions then referred to will be those activities that one performs in the attempt to fulfill all one's ragadveshas. Since you do have ragadveshas and they have to be neutralized, what will you do? You cannot just command yourself to give up your likes and dislikes as you would a hat. Likes and dislikes are there. They are not just given up. They constitute the person. However, when you perform actions with the sameness of attitude, samatva, towards the results of your actions, your raga dveshas are neutralized. So, however, repeat this line again. However, when you perform actions with the sameness of attitude, samatva, toward the results of your actions, your raga dveshas are neutralized. This attitude is karma yoga. The attitude of samatva mentioned in this verse is not with reference to the action itself. It is with reference to the result, the phala, of any action. This attitude is present in the Vedic culture and is called prasada buddhi. We have seen that even children are named prasad because they are thought of as prasada. If your son is prasada, then you are also a prasada to your parents. Your physical body is not only prasada to others, but also to yourself. A house is called prasada. The food cooked, offered to the Lord, and then eaten is also considered prasada. Thus, this attitude, prasada buddhi, is an important aspect of karma yoga. It is important to note here that any translation that says we should perform action without expecting a result has no basis in the Veda. Such an interpretation serves only to create additional complexes. Try as we might, we find that we cannot do karma without expecting some result. The truth of the matter is that no one can perform action without expecting a result. Even a dull-witted person cannot engage in an activity without expecting a result. Therefore, this meaning of karma yoga must be abandoned. So, we just read about the purpose of the karma yoga. It is to clear the mind, making antakarna shuddhi so that we can attain moksha. So, prepare the mind to realize the knowledge. Another definition of karma yoga. Another definition of karma yoga. Although this verse presents a particular line of argument, the fact is that this is not the only way of looking at it. Let us therefore look at the other definition of yoga. Yoga karmasu kaushalam. Karmasu means with reference to actions. Karmasu means with reference to actions. Thus, with reference to actions, yoga is kaushala, meaning the state of mind or disposition of a kushala, one who is an expert. Kushala means one who is an expert. All kinds of meanings are given to this word kaushala. It is the abstract noun of the word kushala, expert, the qualities that make an expert. Thus, it has been said that kaushala is expertise or skill. From this meaning, a modern translation for this second definition of yoga has come about. So, from kaushala, from this expertise or skill, from this meaning, a modern translation for the second definition of yoga has come about. People say skill in action is yoga, which seems to convey that it is efficiency of some kind. Although efficiency is always desirable, it is not what karma yoga is about. The inappropriateness of this translation will become clear as we proceed. In the Gita, the word karma is usually used with reference to Vaidika karma. However, if karma is taken to mean any action performed which is the general meaning of the word, then we have to look at it from the standpoint of the person's entire life. The actions then referred to will be the collective activities that you perform in your attempt to fulfill all your ragadveshas. So, in this paragraph, I'll read this one more time. In the Gita, the word karma is usually used with reference to Vaidika karma. However, if karma is taken to mean any action performed, which is the general meaning of the word, then we have to look at it from the standpoint of the person's entire life. The actions then referred to will be the collective activities that you perform in your attempt to fulfill all your ragadveshas. Here, the skill in action interpretation, meaning that if you are very skillful in action, you are a karma yogi, must also be abandoned. This is a secular translation designed to bypass Ishvara. This is a secular translation designed to bypass Ishvara. There are a lot of people who read the Gita without recognizing Ishvara at all. Those who want Karma Yoga without recognizing Ishvara as the Karma Paladata simply cannot have it. There is Karma Yoga only when Ishvara is recognized. Karma Yoga is a religious attitude, a devotee's attitude. Again, Karma Yoga is a religious attitude, a devotee's attitude. There is no way of escaping this. There is no such thing as secular Karma Yoga. They say that when there is a skill in action, when there is efficiency, then the person is a Karma Yogi. A yogi may be efficient in whatever he does, but how can he be efficient if he is given a new job and is just beginning to learn to drive? For example, he has not yet acquired the necessary skill and therefore he will be inefficient in this respect. Thus, a karma yogi can definitely be inefficient in a given area. Conversely, merely because a person is efficient in a given area does not mean that he is a yogi. A pickpocket, for example, is very efficient in picking packets, whereas if you try to do it, you will get caught. Even if before you pick, you will be picked up. Picking packets is not easy. Not only do you have to be skillful in getting an object out of someone's packet, you also need to be a master of deception in order not to be accused. Such a person may be skillful in action, but this is not definitely this is definitely not a karma yoga. A yogi in action may be skillful, but this does not mean the skill in action is yoga. So we just looked it up what that kaushala applies to expertise or skill, which is not applying here. So then what is kaushala? Then what does the word kaushala mean in this definition? To understand this, let us go back to the first definition, samatvam yogaga yuchyate. Samatvam yogaga yuchyate, where yoga is defined as sameness. Yoga is defined as sameness. Suppose a man says to the Swami, I have my likes and dislikes. For instance, I like my neighbor's money. He has a lot of it and has converted it into gold, which he keeps in his safe. I definitely have a raga for his money, and I also have a dvesha for this man. I hate him because he is so blatant about his riches. He thinks he is such a big shot. and he is always showing off. Therefore, I hate him and I love his money. I want to fulfill my Ragadvesha. Also, I happened to listen to your talk yesterday. Until then, I had never heard of Karma Yoga. Now, I want to ask you, will I continue to be a Karma Yogi if I carry on with my plan? I have been working on a tunnel between my house and the room in which my neighbor's safe is located. I know how to open the safe. I know how the whole thing has to be done. I have only 1 hour's work left, and then I'll be there in the room. I was going to do it last night, but having listened to your talk, what I was doing started to bother me. I really wanted to be a karma yogi. It looks to me as though I can continue with my plan and still be a karma yogi because you say I have a right, a choice over my action. I have already sent my wife and children away and I will not give you their address. I am telling you only this much, hoping that you will not tell anyone. I intend to join them tomorrow. Tonight I am off. My house is already empty, and since I have been renting it, I have nothing more to claim from it. Therefore, everything is set, and I am going to work. Of course, I am taking a risk. You say that Ishvara is the karma paladata, the giver of the fruits of action. So I am going to work 1 more hour tonight so that I can clear out the safe. Of course, I do not know what is going to happen. There may be nothing in it at all. My neighbor may have already cleared it out and put the gold elsewhere, or the gold may be there and I may get caught. I may be shot or beaten up. I may be handed over to the police and have to be in jail for a number of years. Anything is possible, or I may get away with it also. My hope, of course, is that I will get away with it. Therefore, whatever comes, I am going to take it as prasada. If I get all the gold, fine, it is prasada. If I and if I am beaten up, I will take every stroke as prasada. Will that be okay? Do you think I am a karma? I am a karma yogi. Do you think that when the Lord says in the Gita that a karma yogi is very beloved to him, he is referring to me? That is what I want to be. I want to be beloved to the Lord. If I take everything as prasada, will I be beloved? Oh my God. It is for this person's sake that we have the definition. Yoga karmasu kaushalam. Kaushala is the discretion in one's karma, in one's choice. So yoga karmasu kaushalam. So kaushala is the discretion in one's karma, in one's choice. It is not an untethered choice without norms. So it's not an untethered choice without norms. It is choice with discretion, meaning that one's choice should be in keeping with certain norms. This, then, is another very important aspect of Karma Yoga. The first definition is with reference to the results of action, Karma Pale Samabhutva, which defines Karma Yoga as an attitude of samatva, whereas this definition, with reference to the action itself, Yoga Karmasu, Yoga Karmasu Kaushala. Kaushala means at the discretion, with norms. Kaushala Kaushala is your capacity to interpret correctly. This capacity to interpret with reference to norms for human interaction is the discretion, the expertise. I'll read this line again. Kaushala is your capacity to interpret correctly. So earlier we said the discretion in one's karma. Now the kaushala is your capacity to interpret correctly. This capacity to interpret with reference to norms for human interaction is the discretion. So the discretion is explained here. The capacity to interpret with reference to norms for human interaction is the discretion. That's a expertise. The norm for human interaction is called dharma. Mhm. The norm for human interaction is called dharma, and the opposite is called adharma. Dharma and adharma form the standard norms. They are not absolutes in that they have to be interpreted according to the given situation. The person who can interpret them properly is called kushala, the expert.
ಬರ್ದಿಟ್ಕೋಬೇಕು ಕಾಲ್ವಿನ್ ಬಾಡಿ ಬೇಡ ಯಾವುದಕ್ಕೂ ಬರಲ್ಲ ಗ್ರಾಸ್ ಬಾಡಿ ಇದು
Oh, please mute yourself. Huh? Okay. The person who can interpret them properly is called kushala. Dharma and adharma are not to be interpreted according to convenience. So, dharma and adharma are not to be interpreted according to convenience, but must be in line with what is proper. Proper interpretation of dharma is what is meant by kaushala. Sorry, what is meant by kaushala? Kaushala is yoga because again, you are not in the hands of your ragadveshas when you exercise discretion in your choice of action. Okay, so you have to exercise the discretion. It is your capacity to interpret with the reference to norms. That norm is dharma or adharma. Okay, so we are moving on to what is dharma and adharma in reference to ragadveshas, right? Okay, so far good. Guys are okay. Right. Dharma and adharma are universal. Dharma and adharma are universal. The man in the story has ragadveshas. Okay, yeah, that story is coming up. The man in the story has ragadveshas. His raga is for the money and the dvesha is for his neighbor to whom the money belongs. He wants to go by his ragadveshas, and they are totally against dharma and adharma. What should not be done, he is doing. Therefore, he is going against dharma, which means he is doing adharma. But could it not be said that this is all a man made order? No. Suppose in particular country there is no law against stealing. Does that mean that if someone takes away what belongs to another, it would not be called stealing? No, it would be still be called stealing. This is not the same. As the man-made convention that traffic shall proceed on the right, we naturally all proceed on the right, because to do otherwise is a definite risk to life and limb, and it is also illegal. Even if you say you are ready to take the risk, the police will not let you because you are not the only one involved. Other people will be in danger. Convention, then, we can describe as man made. But is the law against stealing man made? No, because the law that stealing is not right is not man made, it is universal. If no one had anything that was his or her own, there would be no stealing. So if no one had anything that was his or her own, that would be no stealing. Even though there would be people, there would be nothing to steal, and therefore no one can steal from the other. However, everyone has something of his or her own, and therefore there is going to be stealing. Even a Swami has a begging bowl and a mala. These are the two important symbols, linga, of a sadhu, and he is supposed to carry them. There are thieves for this also, especially now that they have become rare and therefore costly. Thus, even sadhus can lose their few possessions because as long as anyone has something that is his or her own, there is such a thing called stealing. This is universal. Like adharma, dharma is also universal and is not man made. Dharma is something that is commonly sensed by a human being and is meant for human interaction. I live and let live. I want to be left alone in the sense that I do not want the few portions I have to be stolen, and at the same time I let others live in the same way. I'll read this paragraph again. Like adharma, dharma also is universal and is not man made. Dharma is something that is commonly sensed by a human being and is meant for human interaction. I live and let live. I want to be left alone in the sense that I do not want the few possessions I have to be stolen. And at the same time, I let others live in the same way. This is a particular order that is sensed commonly, and this order called dharma is the very basis upon which we are supposed to interact with our fellow beings. The scriptures confirm this and also say that if you go against the order, your action produces what is called papa for you. Okay, now you know. The scriptures confirm this and also say that if you go against the order, your action produces what is called papa for you. The scriptures do not tell us what is right and wrong, dharma and adharma, thou shalt do this, thou shalt not do that, etc. They merely confirm what we already know. We do not need anyone to tell us these things. Indeed, our knowledge is such that we tell everyone else. Scriptures the world over merely confirm the existence of a common sense, dharma. It is not that they came into the world at certain periods of time and finding there was no dharma, established one. People knew what was right and wrong before the scriptures came along. Mm. So that's about dharma and adharma are universal. Choice in action implies norms. This common sense dharma is there for a human being because he or she has a choice in action. Okay, this common sense dharma is there for a human being because he or she has a choice in action. This choice implies a set of norms which must be known. If these norms, the dharma, were not there, the creation would be defective. I could not have I could not have been given a choice without having also been given the norms that go with the choice. This would be something like giving a Ferrari to someone who is drunk and does not know how to drive, or giving it to someone when it has no brakes. Oh my God. Having been given a choice, Having been given a choice, the norms should be given to all. One second. Ah, having been given a choice, the norm should be norm should be common to all without any education being necessary. This is a very important aspect of Dharma. To be given a choice but no knowledge of the norms. Okay, so to be given a choice but no knowledge of the norms would also be a defect in the creation. If I did have to be educated about these norms, then no one would have the same opportunity to receive this education. Then certain people would be stealing or getting hurt because they never knew they should not steal or get hurt. They were never taught. Therefore, without any education at all, I know that I should not steal or get hurt. I also know that others do not want to be stolen from or be hurt. This then is a common norm. What is equally common to you and me is the norm on the basis of which we can choose our actions. What do I not want from others? So, what do I not want from others? I find others also do not want from me. Okay, this is important, right? What do I not want from others? I find others also do not want from me. Therefore, we have a common norm, dharma. The person who is able to interpret his or her to be done actions in terms of dharma has kaushala. So, in terms of dharma is kaushala, it's a discretion, you choose your choice. Let us now complete the story of a man who wants to continue his plans to steal his neighbor's money and take the result as prasada. He will only be fulfilling one part of the Karma Yoga definition. The other part will remain unfulfilled because there is no kaushala. He is not even interpreting, he is going against the very dharma. If someone wanted to rob him, how would he take it? He would not allow it, which means that he should not rob anyone else because it is a wrong action. If everyone were simply to say, so what to all the norms, all we would have would be a confusion, would be confusion. If everyone were simply to say, so what to all the norms, all we would have would be confusion. Even today, the society is not so confused that we are prevented from conducting our lives. People more or less do follow some norms. If everyone were to do exactly what they wanted, they would be hitting others, robbing them, and so on, all of which would be going against dharma. There would be no order, only confusion, and no one could live his or her life. There is order in the world, even today. That is why we are able to live peacefully. Some of us do not even have gates or fences because there is dharma. Since there are boundaries that people seem to follow, we cannot say there is no dharma. Of course, there is adharma too, because choice is there and people are sometimes going to abuse their power of choice. The man who wants to rob his neighbor has to be told, along with Arjuna, that he must conform to Dharma, even though his likes and dislikes prompt him to do otherwise. What happens to Ragadveshas then? They are curtailed at the level of action. So there you go, where you can stop the Ragadveshas. What happens to Ragadveshas then? They are curtailed at the level of action. They must be aligned with Dharma and Adharma. If there are lingering likes and dislikes which are not in conformity with dharma and adharma, there is no one in my heart to claim them. I do not follow them, I do not join them. They rise and they die a natural death. There is no one to claim them because I have no connection with them. They simply rise as fancies and die as fancies. I go only by what is right and wrong. So I'll read the last paragraph again. The man who wants to rob his neighbor has to be told, along with Arjuna, that he must conform to Dharma, even though his likes and dislikes prompt him to do otherwise. What happens to Ragadveshas then? They are curtailed at the level of action. They must be aligned with Dharma and Adharma. If they are lingering likes and dislikes, which are not in conformity with dharma and adharma, there is no one in my heart to claim them. I do not follow them, I do not join them. They arise and they die a natural death. There is no one to claim them because I have no connection with them. They simply rise as fancies and die as fancies. I go only by what is right and wrong. So, this is all about that raga, dveshas, dharma, and adharma. Hmm. Choice in action implies the norms. So, we read about dharma and adharma as universal, and then choice in action with the norms. Summary of the definition of karma yoga. To summarize, then we have two-part definition of karma yoga. Samatvam yogaga uchyate and yogaga karmashu kaushalam. With reference to the results of your actions, there is sameness in your response. With reference to the results of your actions, there is sameness, samatva, in your response. Gaining this attitude, samatva, depends upon the recognition of Ishvara as a karma paladata, the giver of the fruits of all actions. Okay, so I'll go back again. With reference to the results of your actions, there is sameness, samatva, in your response. Gaining this attitude of samatva depends upon the recognition of Ishvara as a karma paladata, the giver of the fruits of all actions. Whatever result you gain, the laws do not cheat you in any way. Therefore, as a karma yogi, you have the same attitude towards both the desirable and undesirable results of your actions. Karma pale samatva buddhihi. Okay, karma pale samatva buddhihi. Then, with reference to action itself, because there is a choice involved, as a karma yogi, you exercise your choice based on certain norms. So, you exercise your choice based on certain norms. These norms are indicated by the rules of dharma and adharma. They are universal, common to all, samanya dharma. Even universal laws require interpretation. Okay, let me see, I can read up to this point. Even universal laws require interpretation. Although common to all, Samanya Dharma must be interpreted to accommodate given situations so that it is appropriate to the situation. So, all these laws are common to all. Samanya Dharma must be interpreted to accommodate given situations so that it is appropriate to the situation. This interpreted dharma is referred to as Vishesha Dharma. So we are going on from Samanya Dharma to Vishesha Dharma, which is pertaining to that situation. Ordinary laws also have similar provisions. Ordinary laws also have similar provisions. That you should keep to the right in the traffic is a law that is universal in America. But suppose a huge truck is coming towards me in the same lane. By keeping to the left, the driver of the truck is doing the wrong thing. But I am doing the right thing. But I am driving a very small lightweight car. By keeping to the right, I am right. But if I refuse to interpret the law and I do not budge an inch because I am right and he is wrong, I will certainly suffer the consequences. Suppose, however, I swerve to the left, making sure that I am not going to hit anyone in the process, and then return again to the right when I have avoided the truck, then I have saved the situation. If a police officer sees me going to the left, he or she will not give me a citation, but will go after the truck driver instead. I interpreted the law rightly, and the officer will probably congratulate me if for escaping serious injury or death. Every law has an exception. No one has ever made a law, including Bhagavan, without there is an exception. For example, Newton's law of gravitation applies only in certain areas. If you are in a spaceship, peanuts cannot be eaten in the same way as they are eaten here. Instead of going into your mouth, when you toss them up, they will go right or to the left. Even though Newton's law is really Bhagavan's law, still it does not operate in the same way in all places at all times. Thus, there are no absolute laws. That there are no absolute laws, however, does not mean that there is no universality. Dharma is universal because I feel the same way as others feel. However, even what is universal has to be interpreted according to the situation. Although you expect people to speak the truth to you, people expect the same from you. Sometimes you may have to tell a lie in order to save someone's life. This is Vishesha Dharma or interpreted Dharma. Vishesha Dharma is when someone other than yourself is beneficiary of the lie. Thus, the differences between dharma and adharma with references to speaking truth depends on whether or not you are the beneficiary of the lie. So, thus, the differences between the dharma and adharma with references to speaking truth depends on whether or not you are the beneficiary of the lie. Other examples of Vishesha Dharma are those dharmas imposed by the scriptures, which are only valid in so far as a given place, time, or culture is concerned. For example, a Brahmana, a Kshatriya, and a Shudra have certain duties to perform within the framework of the Vedic culture only. Therefore, these duties are Vishesha Dharma. So then now time is 6:49. Oh, we are almost done. Okay, let me finish with this. Karma Yoga implies an understanding of the Lord. Samanya Dharma and Vishesha Dharma should always be. Okay, I'll read this heading again. Karma Yoga implies an understanding of the Lord. Samanya Dharma and Vishesha Dharma should always be the governing factors when exercising your choice with reference to a given action. You cannot go by your raga dveshas alone. When when you do go by dharma and not by your raga dveshas, You are living an ethical life. Okay, when you do go by dharma, not by your raga dveshas, you are living an ethical life. Such a life, however, may not be yoga. Yoga comes into the picture only when Ishvara is taken into account. The yoga comes into the picture only when the Ishvara is taken into account. The Gita does not discuss Ishvara immediately, it only does so in the third chapter. Another verse in the 18th chapter explains the role of Ishvara in Karma Yoga. So that sloka is Yataha pravrittirbhutanam yena sarvamidam tatam karmana tama tamabhichar abhyarchya sorry archya tamabhyarchya siddhim vintati manavaha. The one whom all beings have come into being, the one from whom all beings have come into being, by whom all this is pervaded, worshipping him by performing one's duties, a person attains spiritual success. Oh, I thought I'm done, but then, okay, it's not. Okay, I just need to extend this few more minutes. The Lord is not the only creator, but also the creation. Therefore, the creation is not separate from Ishvara, and the Ishvara is both efficient and the material cause of the creation. No product, karya, is separate from the material of which it is made. The status of being both efficient and the material cause is therefore what is meant by Ishvara, and that is the reason why the creation is not separate from the creator. The creator, on the other hand, is independent of creation in the sense that even without creation, the creator remains. At the time of dissolution, for example, the entire creation goes back to Ishvara, who alone remains. The creation is like the dream world you create, without which you remain as you are. While the dream world is not independent of you, you can be without it as you are in deep sleep. Similarly, the creation is not separate from the Creator, the Lord. Anything in the world that is naturally created can be looked at as Ishvara's creation, Ishvara's srishti. So just as anything you make may be said to be your creation, Jiva srishti. We'll go back again. Anything in the world that is naturally created can be looked at as Ishvara's creation, Ishvara's srishti, just as anything you make may be said to be your creation, Jiva srishti, because your free will is involved. There is, however, only some truth in you being the creator of anything. When you say that the house you built is your own creation, you find upon analysis that the statement is not totally true because your will and effort are involved. There is some truth to it, but the earth that the house is standing on is not created by you, nor are the laws which allow the house to stand. The materials that are necessary to build and maintain the house are also not created by you. In this way, you come to see that your creation depends on many aspects which are not created by you. Therefore, nothing is really created by you, although for the time being we can assume that there is such a thing as Jiva Srushti. Okay, I'm going to stop here. We have 6 minutes. So far, what we read, I think we may have, oh, about 5 pages left, almost 4 pages. Hmm. law of creation are not separate from the creator. So from 3:11 we have to read tomorrow. Okay. So the topics that I read today, the purpose of Karma Yoga, I think. Yeah. Purpose of Karma Yoga. Then definition of another, okay. Purpose of Karma Yoga and the definition of Karma Yoga. There are two definition has been described here. And then the second definition, they described it in a lot more detail, what Kaushala means, what the norms are, and Dharma and Adharma are universal, and choice in action implies norms, and summary of definition of Karma Yoga, and the universal laws require interpretation, and then how Karma Yoga without implies the understanding of the Lord. So we read up to this point. So the purpose of the Karma Yoga is for the Antakarana Shuddhi. So getting rid of Raga Dveshas, and you have choice in action, and that choice in action based on several things. That is at your discretion, following the norm, and having the karma paladata. Ishvara as a karma paladata. And then samatva, that attitude in the result of action. But lots of good examples were given. It was interesting to read about it. We talked about the interpretation of this dharma itself, samanya dharma, which is the universal one, and what is done to you. I mean, what you don't, what you want to be, what you want is what other people also want. So what you don't want to be done to you, you don't want to do to others. So that's an important lesson here also. So you don't want to be stealing even for sake of it, but you can lie in certain, there are some exceptions where you can do, but that is again, it's not benefit for yourself, it is benefit of others. So please share your thoughts. I know I didn't get in everything, but whatever I said. So Malati ji or Vandana, what happened? Everybody else left already. Maybe they had something else to do. Yeah, a couple of more minutes. Hmm. Okay. I'll finish the Shanti Pata and I'm going to close after this. Om Loka Samata Sukino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Om Tat Sat. Om Tat Sat. Om Tat Sat. Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. I don't have the video for that meditation, so I'm going to close here. Okay, see you tomorrow. Jai Gurudev.